Hi folks, I'm Craig Taylor, and as always a huge thanks for joining me here on my YouTube channel, the Bushcraft Padawan. I did a fairly long drive yesterday, and on the way home I was listening to Paul Kirtley's, or one of Paul Kirtley's more recent podcasts, in which he interviewed Dan Hume. Dan Hume, the same guy who wrote this book that you're seeing on the screen at the moment, that I bought and read in the latter half of 2018. It's the same Dan Hume that after reading that book I got in touch with him via Instagram because he was selling some lengths of bamboo, such as you see here, and some broken crockery. It's a strange thing to sell, but actually the reason he was doing this was because on one of his more recent expeditions down to the New Guinea area of the world, he actually discovered, and it's detailed in the book, the story as to how he discovered this and the technique, but he details in that book how he discovered from local tribes people that striking something like broken ceramic against a length of bamboo, a fairly substantial length of bamboo, I have to say, it's not like the bamboo canes we get in this country, but striking the two together could bring about a spark, and that spark could be caught and grown and eventually turned into flame. So that's what I've come out in the woods to do today, to practice this technique that Dan talks about in the book, striking that against that to create a spark, to capture it and to move it onwards. I've also brought out with me, unsurprisingly, some hot chocolate so that if I am successful, I have some reward for my efforts. Let's see how I get on. Just to give you an insight in what I'm using then, there's the bamboo that I've already shown you. There's the broken piece of ceramic. I've also brought with me some flint as an alternative striker, just in case I can't get to grips with the ceramic itself. There's some flint. I brought some char cloth to hopefully catch the spark. And I'm also going to experiment for the first time with using some amadou, or Fomus fomentarius fungus, to try and catch the spark as well. So that's kind of my component kit. And beavering away in the background, I'm also going to put together a small fire hearth and get some kindling and some wood together. I also have some honeysuckle, Lonicera periclinum, in order to take that, hopefully, that small ember I'm able to create, hopefully to be able to blow that into flame and take the flame to a full fire. Let's see how we get on. There's a video on YouTube of Dan actually performing this technique and manages to make it look incredibly easy. Of course he does. Let's see if I can emulate that perception of easiness today. There's a big part of me thinks probably not, but let's give it a try. So I've got my bamboo, I've got my broken piece of ceramic. I'm going to put the flint to one side for a moment and the amadou. And I'm just going to work on the char cloth. I think that's probably going to be the easiest thing to catch from, would be the char cloth. So I take a piece of the char cloth, grasp it firmly on the top, apparently, of the ceramic with my thumb. There we go. And then it's either a case of just quickly striking, or you can do more of a prolonged scratch, a prolonged strike, like you might imagine doing with a match, a traditional match. So let's see how we get on with this. I hope you're holding your breath at that end. Let's go for the short, sharp strike to begin with. I can see the sparks coming off. It's not like the spark you get from a ferro rod, where it's incredibly bright, easy to see, and draws your eye to it. They're incredibly faint, very small as well. They're not the big bright sparks, they're small faint sparks, but I can definitely see it. And what's also interesting is I can smell the friction. I can almost smell the ignition without even putting my nose in the area, just being sat up like I am now. I can actually smell, and I can still smell it now actually, it's quite interesting. I can still smell that friction, that burn, that sense that there's been a small ignition. No spark no spark on the char cloth, but let's keep trying. Nothing as yet. Again, there's a sense of there's a smell of the burning, the friction, but no actual spark landing. I'm going to park the ceramic for the time being, and I'm going to go for my flint that I've brought out with me. Let me try this. Oh wow, okay. Seems to be getting brighter sparks or bigger sparks from that, so I'm going to bring my char cloth back into play. And now I can't get anything. It's really tricky. Or I'm making it look really tricky. I don't know if you can notice on the bamboo, but you can see the scratches that I've made. And a part of me is wondering if there's a point where there's simply no surface, or the correct surface has been scratched away. Because as I said at the outset of the video, I've practiced this a lot at home, and I do wonder, and I hope I'm not right, but I do wonder if I've almost outstruck it, if I've exceeded its strike rate. There's an area here that hasn't got many scratches on, but it's right at the end, so you don't get much of a run with the striker, but I'll try there. There it is. Nothing. I'm going to cheat, or should it be improvised? I'm actually going to put the striker, or the bamboo, I'm pinning the char cloth down, and I'm going to strike onto it, much like I imagine you would if you were pinning down a piece of char cloth with the spine of your knife and you were striking off the back of that. Let's see how we get on with this. I'm not even getting the sparks now. What I am doing is ripping holes in the char cloth, but not actually getting any sparks. Ah, now I am. Do you know what? I thought one had landed then, but it's because this is a slightly orange colour, the ceramic. It looked like a spark till I blew it and it blew off. How gutting. Whoops. Lost the char cloth. Let's keep going with that. I'm getting sparks with that by striking at the end. So I'm going to keep trying. Now, back to the flint. It's very hard striking onto it. I mean, look at the poor char cloth. It's got more holes in than one of my excuses. Not being very successful with this, am I? But I guess that's the point of the video. Not everything works first time, and not everything works for everybody, sometimes ever. I'm going to go to the Amadou now, the Foamus Fomentarius, because it's more hard wearing, isn't it? It's tougher, it's more resilient. Maybe this will stand more of a chance of being pounded by the striker. The flip side is and I've never used this before, so I'm simply judging it by what it looks like. The flip side is, it looks like it will be harder to take a spark. It doesn't look as delicate as the char cloth, but let's find out. There's some dog walkers in the background. Might ask them if they give it a go. Probably have a better success rate than I'm having. Let's go back to plan A, holding the on top. See, I always struggle how this would work. I mean, clearly it does work. Dan's shown it in his video, but I always wonder if you're doing this, you notice that the Amadou is on top. If I'm striking down, then I would see the spark coming from the bottom of this. In other words, on the wrong side of the striker for where the Amadou is. I would see the sparks coming off the bottom and being blocked from hitting the Amadou. But let's be quite honest, I'm not going to argue with a bloke who's the author of a book called The Art of Fire, because he clearly knows his stuff and does a really good job of demoing it in the video. Bad workman, he's blaming his tools again, Craig. No, I'm getting absolutely nothing here. Admittedly, I am not the most patient person, but I'm not even seeing the sparks like I was. What I am seeing is a length of bamboo that really looks like it's taken a hammering. And I go back to what I said earlier on, I wonder if I've taken whatever the finish is or whatever the surface coating is that helps to create that spark or that friction or whatever it is. I'm wondering if I've taken that off to such a degree that I'm really not going to get any sparks, because I was getting them before. I was getting a lot both at home and when I first did this a few minutes ago, but I just can't even see the sparks now. And of course, with no sparks, I've got zero chance of it actually landing on the tinder. Going to give it a few more minutes. Appreciate this isn't the most interesting of viewings for you, so you'll have probably realised by now that I've edited the video to speed a lot of things up. But I've probably been going at this now for, and I would say maybe 10 minutes. Back to the char cloth. Watch your eyes. There we go, I've just broken that off to give me a fresh edge. I'm literally grasping at straws now, thinking of all sorts of things it could be. So I'll give myself a fresh edge, see if I can get any sparks from that. I've called that particular technique a day for now. It works. Clearly it works. Dan's demoed it, seen a video of it, he talks about it in his book. The technique works. It's the technique, isn't it? I haven't got the technique, or my technique has taken so long to get there that by the time it has, and I'm not saying that it has, I've got very little left of the surface of the bamboo. I seem to be pinning a lot of the blame, don't I, on the surface of this, and it's hard to see on the video, but let's just try. You may be able to see the deep gouges. The surface of this did not look like this when I first received this bamboo. Lots of gouges, broken through the skin of it, if you like, or the surface layer. Very little of that left, which means that if it is that, and I'm not saying it is, but if it is that, which in combination with the striker creates the spark, I've lost one of the variables. I've lost one of the ingredients of success if it is down to the surface of the bamboo being a key factor. I don't know. I might ask Dan to take a look at this video and see if he can offer any comments or suggestions as to where I was going wrong. But all is not lost. I've still got kindling, I've still got some fuel, I've still got tinder, I've still got a fire hearth there. I've still got other things that I can turn to, and I think that's an important thing, and I'm sure you agree as well. I came out with a plan in mind. I came out with an intent and desire, a deep desire, to actually get that to work. And it didn't, or it didn't on the day, it didn't for me today. What do? Do I just go cold, wet, hungry, thirsty, or do I actually think, like, well, that didn't work, what else do I know? What's my backup? What else am I carrying? What else can I see around me that I could potentially use? So I'm going to have a dive into my pockets, have a dive through my kit, see what else I've got, because my stomach is howling out for some hot chocolate. Let's see what I get up to. There's the Amadou that I've been tinkering around with, all ready to hand, already fluffed up. Here's my knife, back of the knife pinning the Amadou down. There's the flint that I've been using previously, albeit unsuccessfully. And what I want to try and do is strike a spark off the back of my knife blade, the spine, which I know I can do, but I've never tried it on Amadou before, so let's give that a try. I'm getting lots landing, I mean lots of sparks landing, it's brilliant. But they seem to be landing and immediately going out. I'm going to rough the surface up a little bit more with my fingernail. Just trying to make it a little more powdery, a little more feathery. Let's see how we get on with that. Voila! We have success. I was going to go for a double fail then. There we go. Terribly out of focus there. There we go. And it's burning away well, so I want to get that inside my honeysuckle ASAP and blow that into flame. Feeling unlucky. It's gone. Oh, no. I was so riding the crest of elation then when I got the when it landed on the Amadou. So the Amadou's are washed out. This honeysuckle, by the way, is bone dry. I've not actually harvested it today. I took it months ago and it's been drying out in the house, so can't put it down to the bundle, the bird's nest bundle. Just, I don't know, crap technique again. Oh dear, Craig, I'm not having a good one today. Right then, let's go back to the old faithful of some char cloth inside this, although char cloth burns much quicker than the hammer do, so I'm not sure. No, do you know what I'm going to do? No, I'm not going to give up. I've got some more Amadou. I'm going to have another attempt at the Amadou in here. Let's see how I get on. Bigger piece now. Crikey, more smoke. Oh. There we go. And through the magic of video editing, here I am a split second later with a nice hot mugful of hot chocolate. Yeah, how do I close this video off? Because it didn't really go to plan, did it? Or did it? No, it didn't. I didn't achieve the fire by using the bamboo and striker. Going to read up on that a little bit more, going to go back and watch Dan's video again, just to see if there was something simple like the angle or the angle of the bamboo, the angle of my hand, things like that. So I'm going to go and fault find that, and if I can't see any answers, I might ask Dan if he'll take a look as well. You never know, he might do. I'm pleased that the Amadou worked. Never used Amadou before, burnt a lot longer than char cloth. I just don't think the piece that I put into the bird's nest the first time around was perhaps big enough. You saw that when I put that second piece in, blew some air into it, it ignited much more quickly than the first piece. At the end of the day, I'm sat here, I've had a fire going for some 15 or 20 minutes. If I'd put more fuel on it, I could have had it going for a lot longer. I've made a brew on it. If I'd have burnt for longer, then I could have made a meal on it. So ultimately, if you kind of take out the minutiae of what I wanted to achieve today, the specifics, I achieved fire and got a hot brew inside me. But I'm still looking upon it as a fail because I didn't achieve what I set out to achieve at the beginning. I'll leave you guys to argue about whether it was holistically a success or not. I won't be offended if you say it wasn't. So things for me to look at then is to go back and review that technique again, maybe get in contact with Dan, see if he's got any more of that bamboo. Who knows, maybe they'll sell it in garden centres. I've never looked for the thick stuff, it's always been the sort of the finger thickness that I've always looked for garden canes and things like that. Maybe garden centres do sell the thicker stuff and I've just never noticed it. Who knows? Thank you as always for watching the video, even if it didn't perhaps set out to achieve what I said it would at the beginning. Thank you for sticking with it to the end. If you're a subscriber, I've said it before and I'll say it again, a massive thank you. I've also said before and I'll say it again that if you're not, there's been a red button in the bottom right hand corner of your screen pretty much since the beginning of the video. If you click on that, you will become a subscriber. Thank you as always for watching. Thank you for joining me in the woods. I'll see you again very shortly. If you liked the video, like it. If you think other people might value from it, share it, and I'll see you very soon in my next video. Cheers.